Is this the greatest discus throw in the history of mankind? We're gonna react to Daniel Stahl winning the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary, and we're gonna start right now. So let's set the stage. If we look at this past year's World Championships, it was absolutely crazy, especially in the throws. It was off the charts. But I think if you look and you set the stage in the men's discus, Daniel Stahl was in the lead, gets sniped by Che, who throws 70 meters, and then Stahl has one throw left. He knows he has to throw over 70 meters in the stadium. He knows this is his last chance. So I want to relive this experience, check out the video, and then also react to his technique and what you guys can use to go and implement into your overall discus training today. So Alekna 68.85, Danny 68.24 with that big PR. Daniel's sitting at 69.37. Che had just hit 70 meters 02. Daniel's got one throw left, right? I actually videoed this even on my phone because I was like, just in case, I'm gonna video this on my phone. I was directly behind the circle. Huge. Huge. Then he does the come to Sweden. I think the first thing here, he knew this whole time. He's got like a little smirk on his face. He's like, yep, I know. Then he does his little flex. Of course they're missing him. There we go. Yeah, I think that was what I've got to share is that one, Daniel is like the coolest dude. He's like this pose here, right? This pose, his reaction, his celebration, it just embodies how cool he is as a person. So I did want to share that. But I think the other crazy part is that he breaks the World Championship record, which was also held by Che. You can see there's no wind on the windsock there, but 71.46. So one thing that we've got to think about is that Che went ahead of him by about 70 centimeters. We're like, oh, man, he's ahead by 70 centimeters. Like, Daniel's got to make that up. Daniel beat him by 1.5 meters. Like, that's the other crazy part is like, we're not thinking through, like, he didn't just beat him by, 10 centimeters. He beat him by 1.5 meters. And Daniel went out and won this with a competition record on his last throw. So it's just absolutely crazy to think through the type of pressure that he was feeling and the ability to execute. And this goes back to high school kids. Think about when you're in that situation, at a high school dual meet or a high school invitational or anything along those lines. It comes down to, do you have the reps in? Have you been able to get those full throw reps? Have you been focused in training to improve your technique? And that's the big thing here with Daniels. He's so dialed in with his technique. He's had probably over those 10 years, probably 100 to 140,000 throws. So let's check out this technique. Great wind here. I like this just real stable position. Gets that higher point with the discus here. That creates a stretch into the pec, right? Good stable position here. Right foot, this is what I like. That right foot's flat as he's winding. There's nothing. Sometimes, actually, Sam does this sometimes where that right foot will wind up. But I think this is the other thing. He's not sinking his hips back as much as he is just rotating. Great mobility there. Then as he comes out, level, okay? Level. Then he gets to this position here. This is where he picks up his right foot, okay? So that left arm's long, almost exactly balanced here between the left hand and the discus, right? He gets wide here with that right leg. And I did want to point this out. He typically, and Daniel is flat-footed. You can see here that he never really lifts his left heel when he comes out of the back. He's got that longer right leg, and I feel like that's something that he's altered a little bit, is that he squares his hips up to the sector here pretty early as his right foot is passing that left, right? Okay, and then he gets to the middle. Let's see, he sweeps down to the middle here. Maybe, he's probably a little short with that sweep leg. Typically he would get a little bit closer to the middle there. So he loads his left really well here. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he could have cut his right a little more. I don't know. I don't care either. I don't care. I love what he's doing here with that great mobility from his shoulder, super tremendous high point, right? Left leg grounds here, left foot's coming down, and I think that's the big factor, is that when you've got someone like Daniel with his strength, with his mobility, with his athletic ability, you know, it reminds me of Joe and Krauser as well. It's just like the positions that they can hold, and I think that's another big factor, is look at that mobility in the shoulder. The discus isn't dropping down. Left arm is across. There's no loss of tension in that right shoulder. You know, that right shoulder's nice and long, and then that left knee is open at the front there, right? So you can see that left knee is like facing inside that right sector. This is something that Val does really, really well. And then you can see here as his right side rotates, this is another big factor that I wanted to point out, is how long he sits through this position, right? He's got that right knee. And a lot of people will say, like, come up on that finish. Daniel doesn't do that. Daniel's got what I would argue, along with Che and Alekna, some of the best technique on the finish ever. You know, look at this point. The discus is out, and now that's when his left side starts to pick up, comes forward, reverses through, saves that. Great save too, by the way. Absolutely fantastic save. But I want to go back and look at this right shoulder. It's like, just look at the cannon from his right side. Boom. Right hip extends, right shoulder works through. So strong on that finish. Man, it's so good. And I would say that's the big factor there that I think everybody, you know, looking back at this throw, he just comes out like, yep, that's it. That's it. Another great angle here. Look at how long. Discus is out, still down on that left foot. And so this is what I would say would be the big, huge takeaway from everybody, is that we've got to learn how to be patient on the finish. And I think that patience that he holds on the finish is really established from that patience that he has out of the back of the circle. Great yell as well. So there's another big factor, second big factor here, is that when you yell, you will improve your performance. Like, this isn't just made, this is actually in data. This is peer-reviewed research. Like, yelling and swearing can actually improve your overall power output. Now, I'm not saying that you should be swearing all the time, but just look at this angle here, right? Like, look at the mobility here. Look at where that left foot is when, you know, in relation to the right disc, to the right hand, right? And then it's just boom, 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 boom. Right there even. Foot is still down. Right knee is bent. And he's working through with that hip. Just tremendous technique. And I think that this is the biggest thing that I would say. I want to go back to the beginning to check out the wind, because I really, really think that this position here, okay, this start of the wind, reminds me, if you think about where the hand is there with his left foot, it reminds me of that middle position where he catches the discus, okay? And then this patience around the left here reminds me of his finish, okay? So I think that we've got to think about, as coaches, can we develop this left leg grounded finish, okay, with a reverse, and it comes back to being as stable as possible out of the back. And I think that that's the big stuff that I learn and see from Daniel, talking with Viestin. This position out of the back of the circle, that stability, that nice positioning, that nice balance. And I think that everything comes back to, he's balanced on his left. He's balanced on that left. You know, he gets to the middle. He's balanced on top of that right. Then you look at his finish. He's balanced on his left for that big long finish. And I think that that's the biggest stuff that we've got to think about as coaches, is how can we get our high school athletes, our collegiate athletes, our post-collegiate athletes, our young kids to learn that stability, to learn that balance, and then over time just constantly ingrain it. So when they get into that high pressure situation, they can perform at that extremely high rate, at least relative to who they are as individuals. Congrats to Daniel Stahl. I think this might be one of the greatest discus throws in the history of the world, as far as magnitude, as far as performance, as far as pressure. Again, that back position, his wind, getting off the left, and then what happens on that finish. And if you can harbor those two things, how long he stays grounded, and transfer that into your overall technique, that's gonna help you improve drastically. So if you guys need help with your overall training, you can head over to peakstrength.app, or you can go to throwsuniversity.com and you can pick up a technical analysis where we're gonna help you achieve that technical greatness. Because remember, you've got to apply technique if you want to drop some bombs. Until next time, peace.